So I wanted to talk about a problem I've recently experienced myself at home using Virgin Media Broadband and there not being any Wi-Fi or working internet connection. And I just thought it'd be useful to run through the process of how I resolve this particular problem, because hopefully it'll be helpful to other Virgin Media customers out there. The principles as well might actually be useful to any internet service provider, but yeah, just to be clear, this is specific to Virgin Media Broadband in my situation. So yeah, first and foremost, even though I work in the tech industry and spend a lot of my time dealing with broadband connections, internet connections, Wi-Fi connections, it doesn't make me immune from problems myself. I am only human, and I also do share the same frustrations and problems that everybody else encounters. So the problem I had was with my Virgin Media at home, which is what I use. I use that at home because it is really good value. The internet connection is really quick. It's basically the best connection available in my area. So that's the reason I'm with them. But I had the problem recently where one evening, my Wi-Fi I noticed was going up and down. 1 minute it was there, 1 minute it wasn't. Took a glance at the router, which is the black box with the flashing green and blue lights on, which will have come from Virgin, normally branded as a Superhub. I took a look at that and I could see that the Wi-Fi lights, sure enough, were going on and off all the time. But the most important thing here was that there's a little symbol for your service status, which is like an up and down arrow. And that was green and it should be blue. So that in itself indicates there was a problem. So the starting point, as I'm sure you all can guess, is I tried the magic IT fix of turning it off and turning it on again. Now, normally that's a 95% success rate, but on this occasion, that didn't solve my problem. Internet was still going up and down, or rather the Wi-Fi was going up and down, sorry, just to be clear. And there was no apparent internet connection because the little up and down arrow symbol was green instead of blue. Now, this was late. Well, I say late one evening. I go to bed very early, but it was late for me. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to leave it for now. So I turned my router off completely, went to bed and thought maybe it's something going on in my area and tomorrow it'll be fine. So the next morning, fired the router back up again. But basically, I had exactly the same problem. The Wi-Fi was cutting in and out. The little up and down arrow was still green instead of blue. So I was like, right, okay, fine. Let's have a look, see what else we can do to solve this problem. So the very first thing that I did is I headed over to Virgin Media's website, where you can check in general terms the service status in your area for your broadband. You just enter your postcode and it will tell you if there's any issues in your area. The reason this is a good starting point is because if you do put in your postcode and they do acknowledge there's problems in your area, you're best off just leaving things until that they tell you everything's fine in your area. The problem is probably outside of your home and you're better off not fiddling and making things worse. You're better off leaving it. So anyway, I will link to that, by the way, below this video. If you're watching it on YouTube, I will do a link to the service checker page for Virgin Media. Anyway, I put my postcode into there and it told me everything was fine in my area. So straight away I knew, okay, well, overall, there's no problems in my area. So it is kind of specific to me, this particular problem. So the next thing, which is easy to do and may help you get up and running again, is to factory reset your router. Now, if you're using the Virgin Media provided router, there's no harm in doing this, because when you reset it, it will go back to the default settings it came without the box. So the little sticker on the back of it with your wireless name and your wireless password and any admin details are all completely valid. If you have set up and configured your own router, and you're not using the Virgin Media one, though, bear in mind, if you do a factory reset of your router, you will lose all of your settings and you will need to set it up again. But if you're using the Virgin provided router, you're perfectly fine to do this, because it's just going to put it back to how it came out of the box. And that's no problem because all the details are stuck to it. So to do that, all I did was, and I've just grabbed a spare router here. This isn't a Virgin router. It's just a spare one I had in the office, but I just wanted to show you what I did. It's the same principle. On the back of the Virgin router, there is, similar to this one here, see this little dot here? It says factory reset and there's a little hole. And what you do is you just push in something like a paper clip or a pen if it will fit, but a paper clip's probably the best option. You push and you hold it in for about 8 seconds or so, I'd say. and then take it out again, and you'll notice the router doing what appears to be it restarting, but what it's doing is actually factory resetting itself back to all the defaults, just in case there's a problem, and it will just put it back to how it was out the box. And that could well fix your problem. It could just sort itself out. It got itself a bit upset, and away you go again. In my particular scenario, unfortunately, that didn't solve my problem. I did the reset. It came back up, but came back up with the same problem. I still had the green light on the up and down arrows for no service. My Wi-Fi lights were still going on and out. Touching on that just for a second, the reason my Wi-Fi was going up and down is because a lot of these routers from the likes of Virgin and BT and some other providers, when they detect there's a problem, they will try and self-fix themselves, which might appear to be helpful, but I don't feel like it is that helpful, because it basically just puts itself into this constant kind of reboot state. And that's why it looks like it's up, it's down, it's up, it's down, because the router is trying to self-fix itself. So it's kind of good, but I don't actually like it. I find it annoying. But hey ho. Anyway, so my factory reset didn't work. So I was like, right, okay, so what now? So going back to the service checker I mentioned, on the Virgin site, there is the actual service checker for just things in general, where you don't have to sign in, you can just enter a postcode. But there's also the checker specific for you. Now, you do have to sign in with your Virgin details to the website. And once you have signed in, you can do a more detailed check of your connection, and it will also do some diagnosis and do some fault fixing for you. So once you're signed in, again, you go to your broadband, there's a nice little button that just simply says, check my connection. And what that will do, that runs off and it does a series of tests over a period of about 10 minutes. It will test your connection. It will reset everything outside of your home in terms of your connection to the router. It will do all that kind of stuff for you automatically, which is really, really useful. And then after about 10 minutes, I left mine 15 to be safe. After 15 minutes, I then powered off my router once again, the number one IT fix, powered it back up. And once it booted back up, it was completely sorted. So using the Virgin self-fix kind of button within their website was the fix for me, because what it does behind the scenes, I'm sure, is perhaps it does acknowledge there's a problem. It resets your connectivity, the bit you can't control outside of your home, updates your settings maybe, and it just sorts all them problems out for you. So it was a nice fix. It meant I didn't have to be on the phone to them on hold for a long time. Sometimes that's how it is with these companies, isn't it? I didn't have to go for any of that. I just used their little tool on their website, which, again, just to stress, you do have to sign in to get to that. And away I went, and I was up and running, and away I went. So overall with Virgin, I mean, what I find is I do get these problems kind of once every, 4 to 6 weeks. I live with it because the rest of the time the connection is so fast and so good. I live with these little blips. I know that's not great, but like I said, they're by far the best provider in my area, so I kind of live with it. But yeah, I just thought I'd put this out there to let people know that there is fixes you can do. They're not that techy. You can help yourself. So by all means, give it a go. So if you found this video useful, please click on the like button. Please use the subscribe button and check out our links to all our social media stuff down below.